nightmares most nights. You still need a drive in your 50s. Forget that. I ain't ready to retire. 60% of men struggle with sexual performance when they're over 50.
Ash, can you tell me what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, sure. What keeps me up at night, Laura, is the stuff that nobody tells you. And what I mean by that is for me, there's two things. So when you become middle-aged, one of the things that goes is your ability to sleep for hours. So I sometimes lay awake and think, when I was a teenager, I could sleep for hours on end. And because of the chemical and biological changes as you get older, you're less able to sleep. And nobody ever tells you that until it happens. So that's what physically keeps me awake. I've had lots of therapy, I've had lots of help to improve my mental health. One of the downsides of that is I have nightmares most nights. Really quite vivid, concerning nightmares about the guy I used to be. And that's, in one way, I've learnt to live with that. And so I'm not a great sleeper, and so I try and nap in the days sometimes, which kind of makes me sound even older, doesn't it? But it's one of the frustrations, I think, of getting older is your sleep goes. And so actually what keeps me awake is a really, really busy head.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can drive me nuts. Yeah. And sometimes I just kind of accept that's part of perhaps getting older, and you just have to live with it.
And sleep is so important as a business owner as well.
Oh,
so if you're not
gosh,
getting enough of that, then it's going to impact your mental and
everyone
physical health
tells you
on a daily
how
basis
important
as well.
sleep is, and it really is. And if we don't get a good night's sleep, it can make you feel rancid the next day.
Yeah.
But one of the things I often say to people is change the things you can, try not to worry about the things you can't change.
Absolutely.
And I've got a good bed routine, try not to look at my phone too late, drink caffeine too late. I just don't sleep that well. That's part of it.
I stopped drinking caffeine at 1 p.m. now, you know.
Wow,
I should
okay.
do that
And
as
that
well.
works?
Yeah, it does. I have an app that tells me, so
Oh, wow.
try that.
Try and get it all in before 1 o'clock. Yeah.
There you go. So it leads me on to my next question for you. What pressures do you find the world puts you under?
I think there's a lot of pressure on guys to look and be a certain way. So I'm conscious that if somebody Googles 50-year-old man, what comes up is either pictures of Brad Pitt or pictures of some Hollywood star with a six-pack, or what also comes up is do this exercise once a day and you'll look great, or here's some tablets to improve improve how sexual you feel, or it can improve your libido. I think there's a lot of pressures on men to be young instead of a celebration of what middle age means. And so I feel a certain pressure to look a certain way. And perhaps that's some of my insecurities. So I go to the gym regular, I try and eat healthy, I try and lead a healthy life. One, because that's good for me, but also I'm conscious of, oh my gosh, as I'm getting older, I'm perhaps getting a bit of a chin. And I can't do anything about that, or my teeth might not be as white as they used to be when I was younger. And I get all of that doesn't matter, but it does.
And I think that's a similarity, actually. I think obviously we spoke in our last episode about myself feeling that I have to look a certain way, and it's crazy to think that's almost the whole of your life that you're thinking like that.
Oh gosh, it is. And I think the other the challenge as well is as you get older, you're less able to control that. So if I go to the gym 4 days a week now, it's completely different than if I go to 4 days a week when I'm 25.
Yeah.
The difference of how I look is massive. And so I do think there's a pressure on guys when we get to a certain age to look a certain way, but also to accept that when you're in your 50s, you need to start thinking about retirement. Forget that. I ain't ready to retire. You know, I've got more things that I want to achieve. I think we kind of write guys off once they get to a certain age that, you know, you've had your career, you've had your kids, you're married or you're settled for a long time. Now it's time to start slowing down. Well, I don't want to slow down, and that ain't going to happen to me.
No, and you're so successful. I mean, do you feel middle-aged inside?
I love that question because inside I don't.
Yeah.
There's times when I feel 21, when whether when I'm messing about with the kids or when I'm getting ready to go out inside, I feel like I'm 21, and then I'll look in the mirror and it'll be like, oh my God, you're so not 21. Oh my God, look, your body's just not how it was. So, and I think inside you do, and lots of guys do. And I think it's quite important to try and hold on to that. So I say to guys a lot, hold on to that excitedness or that ambition or that drive. You still need a drive in your 50s. You still need stuff to make you want to get up in the morning. So, yeah, on the inside, I still feel young. It's just on the outside, sometimes you're a bit more achy and it takes a bit longer to get over being at the gym and getting over stuff.
Yeah, and you say about getting up in the morning. What's the one thing that gets you up in the morning?
What gets me up in the morning? I tell you what, since I've dealt with my mental health journey, one of the things I got into a bad place of was not getting up on time. I used to lie in bed feeling really depressed, full of anxiety. And lots of guys that are going through this will say they just can't get out of bed. And if you wait to feel okay to get up in the morning, it's never going to happen. And I think as you get older, you sleep less, and so you're more tired in the morning. So I have to make myself get up every morning at the same time, about 7:30.
And it's hard, isn't it? But you've just got to do it.
Yeah, and I do a small run I've got a process that I go through every morning that I've had to do. I call it my non-negotiables. Every morning, this is what I have to do. I do a short run and I journal. I write a page of notes, just what's in my mind and what's going on. Because if I don't, I know I'll just lie there. And that I've never met anyone that has lay in bed in the morning and got better and felt better.
Yeah.
You just don't. You feel worse. You just have to get up, and that's digging deep.
You've got to find that motivation, determination, and get going, haven't you?
So what gets me up is my sanity. I have to get up.
Yeah. And do you find journaling helps? I've thought about starting that myself.
Yeah, when somebody, when it was first recommended to me, I was like, I ain't doing that. And I ain't doing that. And then someone said, you've got to do it. And for the first 2 or 3 months, what am I doing this for? Why am I writing my feelings? I've been doing it 2 years, every single morning. It's such an important part of my day. As a guy, and I think other guys as well, we're not always great at being in tune with our feelings. We bury stuff down.
Yeah.
So I just write a stream of stuff. I want nobody to ever read it. Oh my God, there's stuff in there that you wouldn't want anybody to ever see. And you don't share it with anyone. It's your innermost feelings, it's your fears and your hopes and your desires. You write it all in there. But for me, it's just become part of who I am and a really important part of my mental health. And I get it's really hard to start, but I would really encourage people to give it a go and to persevere, because it's just a real outpouring of what's going on inside.
I think I might give that a go myself. It sounds like it definitely does work. So Ash, what physical or emotional changes have you noticed since becoming middle-aged?
But yeah, absolutely. And isn't it interesting when we say that to people, we're almost a bit uncomfortable, aren't we, when you become middle-aged?
Is that okay to say?
Yeah. And again, nobody ever teaches you this, that when you become middle-aged, there's a whole raft of emotional and chemical changes that go on. And quite rightly, we talk a lot more about when that happens to women with the menopause. Yeah. And it's really important that we do that. But there's a lot of changes that happen to guys as well. And there's a massive change in your testosterone level. And that's the stuff that gets you up in the morning. That's the stuff that drives your libido. That's the stuff that makes you feel masculine. And that drops. And some of the physical downsides of that is, like most men, you end up fighting the man boobs and the tummy. And a lot of that is testosterone is made and stored around your tummy. And so you can't fight some of that off. You can't work hard enough to get rid of some of those man boobs and perhaps the skin and so having to accept that is really quite tough, because you feel young inside. And I don't want my skin to get a bit looser. I don't want to have to fight really hard to keep in physical condition. And one of the hormone changes as well is you lose your ability to concentrate so much. So I find myself getting more irritable sometimes.
And do you think people sort of, or women in specifically, do you think they sort of forget that about men because we're so focused on menopause and the changes that women go through when they get older, because it's looked at and people say that don't worry, they're on their menopause.
Yeah.
Go through the menopause.
Yeah, and I never want to denigrate what other people are going through, because as men we are too. It's completely right that we focus and celebrate the importance of menopause. But I think, for want of a better phrase, there's a menopause. And I think people don't really understand that.
Yeah.
And so I'm usually absolutely knackered at the weekends, and I can feel lazy. But it's not lazy. I'm actually just really tired. My body's going, you're in your 5th decade of life. You need to slow down a bit. Yeah. And again, so I think people don't necessarily appreciate that.
Yeah.
And nobody ever tells you that. No one ever teaches you that as a middle-aged guy, there will be physical and emotional changes that affect your ability to do all sorts. And it's one of those stark things that no one ever tells you, that 60% of men struggle with sexual performance when they're over 50. And that's not because they're less of a man or because they've suddenly not become sexual beings. It's because your hormones change. And if someone had told you that when you were younger, when it comes around and it happens, it'd be a little bit less like, oh my God. That's why guys don't talk about stuff. We're fearful of being judged about that thing. And so the more I can talk to people around, these changes happen, and some of it's scary, but some of it's natural.
Yeah, it's things that you don't learn, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.